Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Yasodanandana Brajagana Ranjana Nana Brajagana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajagana Ranjana Nana Brajagana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Jana Vallabha Girivanadhari Yasodanandana Brajagana Ranjana Nana Brajagana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajagana Ranjana Nana Brajagana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Bhagavacharya Asatarya Satyashishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Gauda Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sakosh Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki ISKCON founder Srila Prabhupada Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Navadvip Dham Ki Jamuna Mahi Ki Ganga Mahi Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Bhakta Devi Ki Shri Radha Golokananda Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Gaura Premanandi All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're continuing our reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 50, text number 9. The title is Etad Artho Vataro Yam. Etad Artho Vataro Yam. Bu Bara Haranaya Me. Bubara Hiranaya Me. Samraksanaya Sadhunam. Samraksanaya Sadhunam. Krito Nesam Vidhaya Cha. Krito Nesam Vidhaya Cha. Etad Hartho Vataro Yam. Bubara Harayanyame. Samraksanaya Sadhunam. Krito Nesam Vidhaya Cha. Etad Artho Vataro Yam. Bubara Haryan Nayame. Samraksanaya Sadhunam. Krito Nesam Vidhaya Cha. Etad Artho Vataro Yam. Ubara Haranaya Me. Samraksanaya Sadhunam. Krito Nesam Vidhaya Cha. Okay. Vidhaya Vavara Haranaya Me. Samrakshanaya Sadhunam. Krito Nesam Vidhaya Cha. Etad Hartho Vitarayam. Samsakara Adunam. Krito Nisham Vidhaya Cha. Itadartho Ratardaya. Bubara Haranaya Me. Samraksanaya Sadhunam. Krito Nesam Vidhaya Cha. Etat. For this, artha, purpose. avatara, descent. I am this boo of the earth, vara, the burden, haranaya, for removing, may, by me, samraksanaya, for the complete protection, sarunam, of the saintly, kritaha, done, anyasam, of others, the non-saintly, vadhaya, for killing, cha, and translation. This is the purpose of my present incarnation, to relieve the earth of its burden, protect the pious, and kill the impious. So repeat. This is my purpose. This is the purpose, of my present incarnation, to relieve the earth of its burden, protect the pious, and kill the impious. So we'll read Jiva Goswami's and then half of Sanatana Goswami's, because Jiva Goswami covers it, the first half, in his purport. So, Jiva Goswami, the purpose of this, etad atartha, I have appeared on earth to relieve the burden of the earth. Sridhar Swami accepts the version with ayam, since he refers to it later in his commentary. Sometimes the word he, certainly, is seen instead. The second line makes clear what was stated in the first line. I descend to protect the devotees and kill the non-devotees. The word sam, rakshanaya, is used to indicate protect in this life and the next, since the devotees spread bhakti. So I'm going to read the second paragraph of Sanatan's. He says, or the person killed by you, though not qualified, will get liberated. The purpose of the avatar is to give liberation to those who are a burden to the earth. The method is given to protect the devotees and kill the wicked. Later, giving them liberation. In this avatar, which reveals unlimited powers, the devotees will be protected and the wicked will be killed. Om Aganda Timaranda Shagananjana Shalakaya Chakshar Om Litamina Tajma Shri Gurave Namaha. So Sanatana Goswami makes a point here that later given them liberation, and what he's reminded that they don't instantly go to Vaikuntha once Krishna kills them, that they stay on this till this universe is done. And like most sages, they whether they enter into Krishna and go back when he goes back, or as most yogis do, they elevate themselves to higher planetary systems. And then when the Lord Brahma wraps up the final of his lifetime, then they go back. And another point here is that Jiva Goswami points out that Sridhar Swami accepts the version, this version, with Hayam. Now, and he points out there are other versions that have the word he. So we know there are different versions of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are different versions of Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are different versions of Mahabharata, there are different versions of Chaitanya Bhagavat. And often what happens, because these are written, people write things down, and there's might have been some error in writing, or or someone gives a commentary, and like here, makes some adjustment. But we follow Sridhar Swami because Lord Chaitanya did. That was the commentary that Lord Chaitanya chose, and there are lots of them, commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. As we see here, we read 3 right here. I didn't even read Vishwanath. This was just like one sentence. And then, of course, Prabhupada, our current. So we have here a situation where describes where Krishna kills Kamsa. Kamsa's two of his wives were daughters of Jarasandha. And of course, they go back home because what else? Their protector is no longer here. So they go back to take shelter of their father. He gets upset, and then he lays siege here to Mathura. And Jarasandha is like the head honcho in that region, and even in the demons. He's like the main strong personality. So there he has a lot of friends, and they have, and they're really subservient. It mentioned here that these other kings are subservient to Jarasandha. So then he collects a certain amount of soldiers, and he figures this is what it's going to take to get rid of Krishna, and he lays sieges, but it doesn't turn out to be that way. What's really interesting that Krishna can just sit in one place, just bring him to me, and I'll annihilate him. He doesn't have to get on his chariot and go. So this verse is similar to the verse in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 7, where it says that whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of a religion, at that time I descend myself. Text 8, he says, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. Text 9 says, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not upon leaving the body take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. 10, being freed from attachment, fear, anger, being fully absorbed in me, taking refuge in me, many, many persons in the past become purified by knowledge of me. And thus they all attain transcendental love for me. 11, as they all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. So it's sweet stuff. I mean, the nectar just flows from Krishna. It's just, there's no end. So we know that Brahma creates, Vishnu maintains, and Lord Shiva destroys. When there's a problem in the universe, and we see this come up, it's like here we have a problem. We have a problem on our hands. Bhumi goes to Brahma. The situation is becoming unbearable. So Brahma, what does he do? He doesn't fight. He doesn't take up arms. That's not his department. He goes to the milk ocean. He goes to the milk ocean. He prays to Kshirodakshai Vishnu. When he prays to Kshirodakshai Vishnu, then, taking shelter of the Supreme Lord because of the burden that's overtaking the earth. Now, Indra is a king. He's a little bit different than Brahma. He's a Kshatriya. And it's described that he could have actually fought. And it says the reason he says he didn't later on, the reason he didn't is because if he left Heavenly Planet, then it would be left unprotected, and then the demons could have fought and taken it that away. So he decided not to, and then, of course, what he did was, we told a little bit of the story in the Mahabharata where when Jarasandha was impregnated, he tried to kill Jarasandha in the womb. And actually, he wasn't unsuccessful because all he did was just split him in half. So when he took birth, it was two parts. So we've heard that story and how the witch Jara put him back together. So similarly, when Lord, there's these different types of annihilations. Actually, in 12th canto, chapter 4, it describes the 4 types of annihilations. There's what's constant, occasional, and final, and total. these four types. Now, at the time of when Varaha appears, there's just been, Brahma is just, again, waking up from sleep. There's a partial annihilation. The earth submerged in water. And at the time he's created, Shiva comes from him, all these different, Narada Muni, all these, and also Swayambhuva Manu, also he creates him and a woman. He said, basically the description is a man with a mustache and a woman with swollen breasts. That's the basic description in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so when he creates this Manu, there's 14 Manus. I think this is the first one in the day of Brahma. He surrenders to him. It's like, my father, what is it that you want me to do? And of course he glorifies Lord Brahma and asks him, what kind of service can I do? And Brahma just said, procreate. This is what I want you to do. We got to fill the universe through living entities, because nobody gets out of the universe unless they're in a human form of life. So you got to get people into that body first. So then he wants to know, okay, well, where do I do this? Where's this place at? But the earth was submerged in water, and so Brahma's contemplating. And from when he's contemplating, then Varaha comes out of his nose. And there's the whole story. We're not going to get the whole story, but he expands himself. And he goes into, in that chapter in the third canto, there's two stories that are mixed together, two different Varahas from two different millenniums that are mixed together in one story. So he takes the earth out of the water. Now, these four kinds of annihilation, right? So there are, one of them is when Brahma sleeps and the three planetary systems meet destruction. This is called Nayamikta, or occasional annihilation. So as when Brahma's lifespan of 100 years is finished, there occurs what's called prakritika, or total material annihilation. And so when a person achieves knowledge of the absolute, right, he understands who he is, what his relationship, and then that is called atyantika, or final, because they don't have to take birth anymore. And then there's the living entities who has undergone birth and death, birth and death, birth and death, and that's what's called a constant annihilation. Because we're born, we die, we're born, our body gets destroyed. That's annihilation. And of course there's all types of other types of, even in this Krishna's making the point that he's not going to kill the pious. He's only going to kill the demoniac, because the pious, especially the devotees, have something to offer to society, right? So they're giving what's very important, and so and it was pointed out in the commentary that because of bhakti, of their bhakti, not only in this life but in the next, they will not be annihilated. Of course, we see different things on this planet, different types of annihilations, whether it's like a meteor hits or a tornado. We have these different types of causes of nature, and the planet Earth has gone through, they think, at least 6 extinctions, 5 or 6 extinctions, like dinosaurs or a meteor hit, and maybe like 11, 12,000 years ago during the Younger Dryas period, also another meteor hit the ice cap up in the north. So during that ice age, the ice was all the way down New York, like Chicago, all those planets, Seattle, that was all under ice at the time, 11,000, 12,000 years, even older than that. But a meteor hit and caused a huge catastrophe, which caused huge melting of water, which caused huge floods all over the planet, and pretty much wiped out everything except for some hunter-gatherers that lived. So then there was like a reboot. So they have these, like Dhruta Karma, he has really nice books, and he talks about these civilizations that are like hundreds of thousands of years old, that they found evidence, but archaeologists discount that. And there's probably the most famous, well, I call them all Drutakarmas, but one of the most famous is Graham Hancock, who's wrote a number of books. He was a journalist from in England. And he writes, his first book was The Fingerprint of the Gods. And he's another one, he's a big proponent about, there were civilizations on this planet, 12, 20,000 years ago. But something happened that caused, annihilation. So, and he said the evidence is there, but the archaeologists, unless they find bones, they don't, and the timeline is always getting older. They're always changing their timeline. Even the Native Americans, and the early anthropologists and archaeologists were Christians. So they're thinking, okay, the planet's only 3,000 years old, Adam and Eve, and so this is their thinking. So this is the early, archaeologists had this timeline, even when they come to, America. So the Native Americans only been here just a short period of time. But even though the evidence is there, that, over 30,000 years or longer. Anyway, I'm not going to get too off on that, but it's, things happen. We were talking about annihilation. Okay, so getting back to Jarasandha, it's described that, Krishna's going to, 17 times, he's going to destroy Jarasandha's army. You have a whole network here of generations of demons that have come to this planet, that have taken birth on this planet. And you got, of course, we go, according to Mahabharata, and you go to, like, Jarasandha was like one of the first demons. His aunt was Satyavati, and I just listened to that. I listened to that a couple of weeks ago, and actually I've listened to the introduction twice. To me, that's the stimulating part. I really liked his introduction, how he talks about it and rationalizing it. The rest of the story is okay. It's mostly about Satyavati until she goes to Hastinapur. And it's almost like he made a Jane Austen novel, because he westernized it. And which is really good because he has a purpose. I mean, God bless him. He's trying to do something here and attract people. So, but it reads that, and it's, and it's his version. And he admits that in the introduction. And he quotes Madhvacharya, who did a summary, and in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is mentioned that Prabhupada in a commentary where Madhvacharya did a summary of the Mahabharata, and he's probably, and like Hriyananda Goswami, there is no written record of it, and most copies that are out there are people's opinions. Madhvacharya said that most of them are full of mistakes. I think he maybe almost 40%, the number he threw out there, quoting Madhvacharya. But Madhvacharya associated with Vyasadeva. He did a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. So this is documented. So I'm sure during that association, he probably got the Mahabharata, some history, and they're depending on time. So therefore, he was able to write a summary of that. So, but we're talking about generations. We got, Vastu was her father. He was the king. He had 5 sons. Vasu, 5 sons and one daughter, twin daughter. And then Jarasandha was born from the oldest son. So you got Vasu, Satyavati's 2nd generation, Jarasandha's 3rd generation. His daughters married Kamsa, there's 4th generation. And then you got Krishna and Balaram, there's the 5th generation. So you got a lot of time for these demons to develop and spread and gain strength. And all these, even sages, these were very powerful people back then. They performed austerity. They did, they managed their kingdoms very, very well. Now, in of course, the next chapter is going to be the deliverance of Muchakunda. And the next chapter is going to be Rukmini sends a letter to Krishna. So in the Harivamsa Purana, there's a story. Harivamsa Purana, we have that. Kushakrata translated that. And there's a story. Now, Kalyavana was very good friends with Jarasandha. And there was going to be a Swayambhuva ceremony put on by Rukmini's father, Bhishmaki. What is it? Bhishmaka. And he was invited everybody to come, and they're going to pick a suitor. This is not a competition. Sometimes there's competitions, and then if whoever can defeat this or do this, they can. But this was just to see who was the best suitor. So all these kings, she had a reputation, probably the most beautiful girl on planet Earth. So huge reputation, which attracted a lot of people. And all these kings, and of course they're huge false egos, think that they're the most qualified and best suitor for her. So Krishna and Balaram also, they go there, they get in their chariots and they arrive, they go there. And it's describes when Krishna first sees this kingdom of Kundi Napura. He sees that these encampments are all around this kingdom. All these kings have come thinking, that they're the best choice for Bhishmaka to pick. When Krishna sees this, he calls for Garuda. So Garuda comes, he gets on Garuda, and he makes this huge entrance, with Garuda. He shows up with Garuda and describes when Garuda flaps his wings. It's like, like a windstorm. Things get blown everywhere, people get blown around, and here's Krishna, he makes it. It also describes that Krishna made his appearance. He changed his appearance a little bit, right at that point. It's kind of weird. He didn't change who he was. It's like Lord Chaitanya, this is my impression, when Lord Chaitanya met with the Mayavadis, when he sat down, he exhibited this effulgence at that point, which they all were taken back by it. So I'm thinking it's something similar to that this beauty, they wanted to, that he was emanating this, Krishna is beautiful, but a lot of people don't think so. So anyway, in this arena, all these kings had assembled, and it's kind of interesting because Jarasandha spoke first. And he was glorifying Krishna. They were talking, just being diplomatic to his degree, and talking about what Krishna did in Vrindavan and the demons he killed. And, when you introduce people, they always talk about their achievements and this. So this kind of went on. And, of course, don't have a lot of time to tell the whole story, but at one point, Krishna and Bhishmaka are able to talk. And Krishna says, I'm the best possible candidate to marry Rukmini. And Bhishmaka said the same. There's no one I would like more to marry my daughter than you. I know that but my son doesn't want to have it. He doesn't want anything to do with it. He's made up his mind that Sisupal should marry, even though they had this whole big thing. So, but in their conversation, Krishna tried to, explain to him, well, just, it's your daughter, you should just, you make the decision. But we see that families are so strong and so knit, so intact, that it's very difficult for them to go against, families, say, with blood's thicker than water. So anyway, everybody left. Krishna went back to Mathura. So now we have another problem on our hands. Rukmi, her brother, and Sisupal. What are we going to do about Krishna? Because everybody knows he's the best match for Rukmini. So they know that Kalyavana was given a boon. His boon was that nobody who was born in Mathura can kill him. No Yadava can kill him. He was given this boon, or Shiva. Like I mentioned, all these guys, these demons, they understood Vedic knowledge. They understood that the power comes through austerity. They knew how to gain power in different ways. And so his power started from his father. There was embarrassment about the way, I can't remember that. I'm trying to think. And he was so angry that he wanted a son that could, I'm trying to think what they laughed about. I can't remember right offhand. Anyway, they said, okay, what we do, we'll enlist Kalyavana to kill Krishna. So with the help of Jarasandha, because he was real friends with Jarasandha, we'll get Kalyavana to kill Krishna. So we'll read that story, and now you know the rest, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story, how Krishna wound up in that situation, entering the cave of Muchakunda. Now, Krishna couldn't use, he had so many weapons. There's no question about Krishna killing him, but he actually did it in an indirect way. Because when they entered the cave and they saw him, and Kalyavana woke up Muchakunda looked at him and just burned him to crisp, So that story is a part of what we're hearing here. The timeline is kind of interesting because here, the time between killing Kamsa and Jarasandha doesn't really seem to be that much time. Of course, he's got to have some time to get to the armies, talk to other kings. I don't know the timeline where this Swayambhuva ceremony was in this particular timeline, because once he defeated him, then he goes back, he comes back, he defeats him, and then, of course, Krishna creates Dwarka, because his citizens are, when they're in siege, they're all worried. Naturally, they're all, even the gopis and the cowherd boys, when there's some danger, they all turn to Krishna, who is their shelter. So we talked about different versions of these literature. Also in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Ganamajaya is having a conversation with Jaimini Rishi. And Jaimini Rishi said there's different versions of the Mahabharata. You have a history of your parents, your genealogical history. The Pandavas, his great-great-grandfather was Arjuna, and married to Subhadra. They had, their son was Abhimanyu, who married Uttara, and Uttara had Pariksit, and then Pariksit had Jaimini, Ganamajaya. So, but he said there are versions, even in the heavenly planets, of where Krishna's the main character in some of these Mahabharats. So, because when you talk about a history, you only want to focus on one particular line of people or genealogical descendants. There are so many, that the tree is so big. So, any comments or questions? We still got some time left. Anything? Anyway, the story of the Mahabharata, I kind of like what Hrinanda Goswami did. It's, you got this independent woman running around. He's changed it, and the Varnashram system, it just doesn't happen. You don't have this independent woman running around India who happened to chance. Of course, it's different. I've read the book too, and I've read different versions. Like you said, she's the fisherman daughter that was there, but she goes and meets her parents, and she abandons her chaperone, and but then he really gets to emphasize in the Varnashram system, Dharma is so important. And even in this story, she talks about, are we in the same caste? Because they didn't know how to tell, because you can't marry anybody out of your caste. So there's all this emphasis. But similarly, there's an emphasis on a chastity of a woman. Just the fact that knowing where, and this was a big issue for her because she had Vyasadeva as her son. So she had to keep this hidden because she would be rejected. She would never get married if this was known. But he did it in such a way that I hope it's very, successful, and people in the West can take it up and read it. But for me, the history, how he did the introduction, was really stimulating for me intellectually. I listened to it twice because I liked it, but I found it very interesting. Okay, so if nothing else, I'll read the purport. And there was no Prabhupada has a purport to the verse 8 of chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, which is really in line with what we're discussing right now. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. I didn't hear. I have my ears are like no good. Anybody help me out here? What was Krishna's purpose in passing? Oh, well, see, it describes, he does this periodically. It's a good question. And not just he comes, his representative comes. And actually in this purport, actually that's a good question. We might not have time to read it. It's not long. But Prabhupada goes into that. The purpose was obviously because at this point, the earth was overburdened. And so therefore, to relieve the earth of its burden, and also to establish religious principles. Lord Chaitanya comes just to establish, he kills by knowledge. He doesn't kill. But also Krishna doesn't kill, which is another, because he never leaves Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, all the pastimes, if you read like Gopal Champu, those demons aren't killed. There aren't that many demons. You have Risasura, who's tamed. You have the horse demon, Keshi, who's tamed. Kali, who's tamed. Kali was killed either way. So Krishna ultimately doesn't kill. In the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is really detailed in the Adi Leela about Krishna's advent. And Lord Chaitanya said, I was lying on the ocean of milk, and Nada called me to come. And so similarly, Kshirodakshai Vishnu expands himself, and he comes for many reasons. There's so many reasons. Like when there was a flood, was it Vamsa? Who the horse? Who was the fish? Protected the Vedas. Yeah, Matsya protected the Vedas. So there's different purposes for different, and each avatar has a specific purpose. Krishna's purpose was to not just annihilate the miscreants, but to give shelter to devotees, because he's given us opportunity that when we perfect our lives, we reach the stage of bhava, that we will take birth in a universe where Krishna's pastimes are going on. So that's a purpose. For those devotees, that's the main purpose. So he can give. And then by doing that, then we can, of course, the desire is already there to have that relationship with Krishna. So he makes that arrangement so that we can finalize our sadhana, our practice. At that time, it's really not practice anymore. It's perfection. We're engaged in a pure devotional service with Krishna. I hope that somewhat helps it. But different incarnations have different purposes. But here is in this verse it describes the primary reason. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, he says that to annihilate the miscreants and to establish principles of religion. Okay, all right. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Nandar Bhagom Vidamaniya Shashoba Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Jami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Jami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Andani Asa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Pasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham. Namaho Vishnu Pajaya Krishna Prastaya Mutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Sammaniti Domine Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Vachar, Devi Sesha, Shunyavadi, Masya Chagone Satarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Siva Sare Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Advaita Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Siva Sare Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda The Advaita Gadada Siva Sari Norakdarina Or at the great Nayat Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda The Advaita Gadada Siva Sari Norakdarina Sri Krishna Nainana Prabhu Nityananda The Advaita Gadada Siva Sari Gaur Bhaktavrina Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama 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 Ore Ore. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Jaya Radha Goloka Nana Rana Goloka Nana Ragate. Jaya Radha Goloka Nana Rana Goloka Nana Ragate. Jaya Radha, hey, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe, Jai Om Vishnupada, Paramahamsa, Joraya, Tada, Shri, Shima, Divine Grace, Alaya, Tanana,
Heto darpanam arjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Nirvanam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti Tatrapidani Vitat Nirmaya Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trianadapi Sunichena Tororapi Suhishuna Amani Namana Dena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadisha Kamae Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vabha Adak Pankaja Stita Duli Shajasham Vichintaya Nayanam Galashu Daraya Vadanam Gad Gadarudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavakam Vishvati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Chunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyavapadam Stumam